Welcome to our investigation of a profound legal puzzle from Masechet Chullin Daf Kaf Chet Amud Beit ad Daf Kaf Teit Amud Aleph. Today we explore a question of precision. What is the legal status of exactly half? An investigation into Talmudic logic from Chullin 28b through 29a. Let us begin. Jewish law often hinges on the concept of a majority, rov. A majority of a siman must be cut for a valid slaughter. A majority of a community determines certain ritual practices. But what happens at the precise boundary? If an action is performed on exactly 50% of an object, does it legally count as a majority? It was stated that there is an Amoraic dispute. The position of Rav, half functions as a majority. Rav said, the halachic status of a siman, of which precisely half was cut, is like that of a siman, of which the majority was cut. The position of Rav Kahana, half is not a majority. Rav Kahana said, the halachic status of a siman, of which precisely half was cut, is not like that of a siman, of which the majority was cut. According to Rav, the divine instruction to Moshe was prohibitive. Do not leave the majority uncut. By cutting precisely half, one has successfully not left the majority. The requirement is fulfilled. Rav Kahana understands the command as prescriptive. Cut the majority of the siman. Cutting precisely half fails to achieve a cut of more than half. The requirement is not fulfilled. The Gemara organizes its investigation by examining 4 key pieces of evidence from established law, Mishnayot and Bareitot. Each piece will be used to test the theory of Rav that half equals a majority. The Gemara provides a mnemonic to help us remember these 4 exhibits. Chatzi Ketina gergert pgima, half, Ketina, windpipe, deficiency. The first exhibit comes from the rule of half in the slaughter Mishna. The second involves the vessel of Rav Ketina from purity law. The third examines the severed windpipe in interrupted slaughter. And the fourth concerns the cure existing deficiency in Trifa law. We learned in the Mishnah, if one cut half of one siman in a bird, his slaughter is not valid. This appears to be a direct contradiction of Rav. If half were truly like a majority, why would this slaughter be invalid? The Gemara offers a rebuttal. The slaughter is deemed invalid only by rabbinic law, not by biblical law. This is a preventative measure, due to the concern that perhaps he will not come to perform cutting on even half of the siman. The theory of Rav survives, but the evidence suggests a complication. The investigation continues. Rav Ketina said, come and hear proof contrary to the opinion of Rav from Abaye with regard to an impure earthenware vessel. An impure earthenware vessel is purified by being broken. If it is split into 2 perfectly equal halves, both halves are considered pure. Rav Ketina argues this refutes Rav. If half equals majority, then each half of the vessel should be considered a majority and thus retain its impurity. How can both be pure? Rav Papa offers a brilliant interargumenti. There are not 2 majorities in one vessel. This principle is unique to a single object being split. One cannot apply the half equals majority rule twice to the same entity. Slaughter, an action performed on a siman, is a different legal context. The theory of Rav is not disproven by this exhibit. Abaye teaches, if one cuts half a bird's windpipe, pauses for too long, and then completes the cut, the slaughter is valid. The Gemara asks, if half equals majority, shouldn't the first cut have rendered the bird a trifa, an animal with a fatal injury, making any subsequent action invalid? But consider both possibilities. If Rav is right, that half equals majority, then this is the valid slaughter and the pause is a relevant detail. If Rav Kahana is right, that half does not equal majority, then the first cut was an incomplete action, followed by a pause, followed by completing the cut. This evidence supports both theories equally. It provides no new information to resolve the dispute. A dead end. The Gemara suggests, come and hear another proof contrary to the opinion of Rav from Abaye. An animal's windpipe was already half deficient before slaughter. The slaughterer adds even a tiny cut to it. The Baraita rules this slaughter is valid. This appears to be a fatal blow to the theory of Rav. If half equals majority, the animal should have been considered a trifa, having a majority of its windpipe severed from the start, making any slaughter impossible. Rava said, the matter of trifa is different, as we require a majority that is clearly visible. He argues that a perfect half doesn't look like a majority, so it isn't a trifa. However, for the action of slaughter, it can still count. Abaye confronts Rava with a powerful kal vachomer, and a fortiori inference, a classic form of Talmudic reasoning. Abaye said to Rava, and is it not derived through a kal vachomer that all the more so, a conspicuous majority is required for slaughter? Consider, for a trifa, where even a minuscule defect can disqualify an animal, we still require a clearly visible majority when a majority is the standard. A valid slaughter is less sensitive. It requires a majority cut to be valid at all. Therefore, kal vachomer, all the more so, for the act of slaughter, we must require a clearly visible majority. The distinction of Rava collapses. The theory of Rav that half equals a majority in the context of slaughter is now untenable. The investigation has hit a wall. Rather, the Gemara revises its understanding. Everyone agrees that the halachic status of a siman, of which precisely half was cut and half remained uncut, is not like that of a siman, of which the majority was cut. The argument between Rav and Rav Kahana was never about slaughter. It concerned a national dilemma. What happens if, on the eve of Passover, the Jewish people are split exactly in half between ritual purity and impurity? Normally, the impure are deferred and must bring their offering a month later, the second Pesach. However, if a majority of the people is impure, the entire congregation brings the offering together in a state of impurity. The question becomes, do they offer together or separately? When the dispute of Rav and Rav Kahana was stated, it was stated with regard to the matter of the Paschal offering. The actual position of Rav, the halacha in the case where half the people were impure, is like that of a case where the majority was impure. The entire nation brings the offering together. The actual position of Rav Kahana, the halacha is not like that of a case where the majority was impure. The pure and impure groups bring the offering separately. And there, with regard to the Paschal offering, what is the reason that Rav accords half the people the status of a majority? It is as it is written, any man who shall be impure shall observe the Passover in the second month, Bamidbar 9:10 through 11. From which it is derived, a ritually impure individual is deferred. However, a ritually impure congregation is not deferred. Rav rules that a perfect half of the nation has the legal status of a full congregation, not a collection of individuals. The journey through the laws of slaughter was not a mistake, it was the method. By testing a hypothesis against a series of rigorous challenges, the sages sharpened their understanding and isolated the precise context of the dispute.